Hey YouTube, so here's the thing. I'm gonna do these last, 5, 6 Pink Floyd reviews. I might do them all, the rest of them in one day, or I might do some today, some tomorrow, I don't know. But I'm ready to get them over with, so I can review, so I can do my Genesis, Yes, Rush, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, all those bands, because, well, been on Pink Floyd long enough, and, it's time to get it over with. So, I'm going to try to go through this quickly, talking about Animals, which I have on vinyl. Like almost every other Floyd album, it was my favorite at one point. There's only been a few that weren't really my favorite. But this is kind of a difficult album to talk about because it's a great album in every way, and it's a great progressive album. It might be Floyd's most progressive album because Dogs, one of their most progressive pieces. Pigs is kind of the same thing throughout, but it's still progressive. Sheep is really progressive, and it's bookended with the Pigs on the Wing. But the thing is, for Pink Floyd, I think Dark Side of the Moon and Wish You Were Here hold up better. But for me, I don't know, it kind of alternates between this and Dark Side of the Moon. I think I do like Wish You Were Here better than both albums. But Dark Side of the Moon is a better Pink Floyd album, but Animals is a way better progressive album in the progressive world. Dark Side wasn't that progressive. It was mainly just a concept album that ran together. Wish You Were Here was really progressive, and Animals is. The Wall, not so much. Really anything after Animals. No, this is really their last progressive album. Pink Floyd didn't do that much progressive songs. You can say Umaguma's a little bit on the progressive side, because you got, they turned the psychedelic trip of Saucer Full of Secrets and turned it into a progressive masterpiece on the live album. And, they sort of did. Sisyphus, it's kind of on the psychedelic side. The Narrow Way might be a little progressive, but the album's not that progressive. And then Adam Hart Mother has that long side. You can say Alan's Psychedelic Breakfast is progressive, but it's not that progressive. It's mainly 3 instrumentals, soft instrumentals put together with sound effects. Echoes is very progressive. And then again, Dark Side has progressive moments. Wish You Were Here is progressive, and Animals. Animals is their peak of being progressive, I think. The Wall had some of the elements, but not that much. The Final Cut had some of the elements and not that much. And yes, even Momentary Lapse of Reason had a couple elements. The Division Belt had a couple elements. Endless River had a couple elements, but not much. So I think Animals is the last true progressive album Pink Floyd ever made. And really, for a full-length progressive album, Pink Floyd only made about 3 or so. And one of them wasn't that progressive and didn't have any really long songs on it, and that's Dark Side of the Moon. Like, when it comes to progressive rock, Yes is probably the most out of them, and early Genesis. But yeah, this is a great progressive album, but for Pink Floyd, the 2 previous are better. But it is obviously better than anything after. Anything after Animals is inferior to Animals. They didn't do anything as good as this afterwards. I mean, you could say Dark Side of the Moon's the peak of all albums ever made. But this, it is what it is on among my favorite albums, as most Pink Floyd albums are. But it's weird. I have a weird history with this album. Sometimes it's my favorite, and then I say, then I'm like, oh, Animals. It's not as good as some of the other ones. But it really is really good, and but you can tell that Roger Waters had complete control just about over the whole band, because he wrote about 90 to 95% of the album. David Gilmour wrote some of Dogs. David Gilmour said he wrote 90% of Dogs, and I doubt that. He's just saying that. I highly doubt Gilmour wrote 90% of Dogs. If anything, he wrote 40 to 50%, if that, maybe even less. So Gilmour is probably just saying that. Gilmour's saying that because he's butthurt about Roger Waters taking over the band. Ha, just kidding. But yeah, Roger Waters wrote between 90 and 100% of it. Not 100% of it, but almost 100% of it. But this is some of Roger Waters' best writing. He wrote all the lyrics, obviously. I think he did. And he even wrote all the music to Pigs and Sheep, which are, especially Sheep is really good, I think, for him to write. Gilmour and Wright were more advanced in writing music, usually, but this is pretty advanced for Roger Waters standards. I mean, Animals might be their most advanced album. So it's bookended with Pigs on the Wing 1 and 2. They're nice songs. Pigs on the Wing 1, I like it. Nice opener. Dogs is a epic song. I don't like it as much as Atom Heart Mother, Echoes, or Shine On You Crazy Diamond, but it's definitely their fourth best. And then all the shorter epics, High Hopes, Comfortably Numb, even Interstellar Overdrive and Saucer Full of Secrets. Now they're up there. They're some of my favorites too. And then Louder Than Words, You Can Say, is an epic, maybe. Sorrow, even though it's not a Pink Floyd song. Wait till I get to that album. That'll probably be a long video. But yeah, so Dogs, definitely a masterpiece, one of their best songs. And then Pigs, 3 different ones, great song. I mean, there's not much to say about this album, really. Everyone knows it if they're a Pink Floyd fan. I mean, do I really have to get into what goes on in the songs? I don't think I do, because you obviously know this album. But yeah, you know how great it is. Sheep. Great song, a lot of chime changes and everything. I think Dogs and Sheep, music-wise, are definitely better than Pigs, 3 different ones, but all 3 of the big songs have been my favorite song on the album at some point. Right now, I don't even know what my favorite is. But I do think it marks the end of the chapter of the progressive era of Pink Floyd, which they're widely known for, even though they didn't do that much. I mean, really, compared to Yes and Genesis and King Crimson and, those bands, they really didn't do that much. I'm not saying I like them any less. They might be my favorite band, as you might know. But really, they did a lot of other stuff. They did psychedelic rock, folk rock. They did progressive stuff, and then art rock and rock opera, symphonic rock, and then synth pop. Well, that's the David Gilmour solo album that they called Pink Floyd. That was the synth pop one. Yeah, they did all kinds of stuff. But Animals, I don't even know what I'd rate this. It's hard. I mean, music-wise, it's a 10, obviously. I'm gonna start a new rating system here soon. I think I don't know when I'm gonna start doing it. I'm not gonna start over with Pink Floyd. I already been doing them long enough. I'm just gonna say most of their albums, at least their first 10 albums, would get 9s and 10s. Maybe high 8s, but mainly 9, 10 albums. 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 albums. Personally, I'd give the music a 10 out of 10. But I mean, there are a couple of minor weak points on it. Roger Waters is all by himself on Pigs on the Wing. It's just him. Wright doesn't do much of anything, really. Except that part on Dogs, the synthesizer part. He doesn't do that much on Pigs, 3 different ones. All he really does on that song is the and that's it, really. Sheep, he does a lot. So Wright isn't that prominent on the album. And yeah, I'm a big fan of Wright, and I like, my favorite Pink Floyd albums are the ones they all sing on. At least Waters, Wright, and Gilmour. I like having 1 or 2 Wright songs on an album. That's why I like Saucer Full of Secrets, because Wright sings more than any member on it. But they say backup song on my Siri thing on my phone just went off for some reason. Anyway, yeah, apparently Wright backup song on Dogs. You can't really hear him. But, you can't deny that this is an epic album. So, as for a rating, it would get a 9.5 to a 10. I don't know. I'm just going to leave it at that, and I'm going to review The Wall. See you guys later.